Good afternoon,
It's been one of the worst kept secrets in football, but now Andy Hesson-Taylor is officially Gillingham's manager. He steps up from the player-coach role, but will continue as a player as he tries to build on the legacy left by Tony Pulis and Peter Taylor.
I believe that it's a great opportunity for myself. I'm nearly 35 now, and obviously I'm still playing. It will be tough because obviously on the playing side of it, but obviously with Steve and hopefully we get another coach in, they're going to help me as much as they can. So I'm looking forward to the challenge. I believe I can do the job.
He's been an inspirational figure as a player, and he's certainly the fans' choice. And his goal in the playoffs at Stoke kept the Gills' promotion hopes alive. His number 2 at Priestfield will be another crowd favourite, super sub Steve Butler, already a Gills legend because of his Wembley equaliser.
I've played First Division, played Second, played Third non-league, and it's just it's a great league to be involved in. I'm really looking forward to the first day when Gillingham can say they're the first time in 103 years they played in the First Division. I've lived in the area now for 15 years, and every year they're saying Gillingham don't want to go up. They're happy to be also Rans, but with the chairman's help, obviously, in the last 5 years, they progress every year, and that's where we are. We deserve to be there.
Among the old faces, a new one. The management team's first signing, Marlon King, a striker bought from Barnet for £250,000, plus money for appearances and goals. The first of what Chairman Paul Scally says will be many signings. Staying with football, and Brighton looks set.
Let's now have a look at the action on the pitch. Here's Mike Field.
Southend's off-the-field traumas were soon forgotten when, after just 5 minutes, they took the lead against Gillingham. Martin Carruthers' shot was parried by on-trial keeper Frank Talia, and following up, Damon Searle volleyed home a fine goal. Gillingham were awarded a debatable penalty just before half-time, which gave new signing Paul Shaw the chance to put himself on the score sheet. Gillingham brought on a new pair of strikers for the second half, and Rodney Rowe and Andy Thompson worked a neat 1-2 for Rowe to shoot the First Division team into the lead. Nicky Southall laid on Gillingham's third, 6 minutes from time, another for Rodney Rowe. Southend 1, Gillingham 3.
The football they can expect in Division 1 next season. They were totally outclassed by Premiership new boys Manchester City at Priestfield yesterday. We have this report from Charles Lambert.
14 months ago, Manchester City beat Gillingham to promotion after a penalty shootout at Wembley. But if the Gills thought this would be an opportunity to exact a small measure of revenge, they were to be disappointed. City treated the Gills to a masterclass in passing, anticipating teammates and turning defenders. Everything, in fact, except shooting. 20 minutes into the game, City took the lead. Spencer Pryor's free kick teed up Mark Kennedy, 1-0. Gillingham retaliated. Andy Thompson latched onto a half chance, parried by Nicky Weaver in the City goal. And minutes later, it took a combination of Weaver and the crossbar to deny Chris Hope. In the second half, Gillingham had a strong case for a penalty when Marlon King went down under pressure from Alf-Inge Haaland. It wasn't given, and soon afterwards, City secured the game. Kennedy, again the scorer, diving spectacularly. Late on, Nicky Southall broke through, but not for nothing is Weaver regarded as a future England goalkeeper. And City finished with a goal to savour. This is Sean Wright-Phillips. His dad is a certain Ian Wright. The son, I suspect, we'll be hearing a bit more of. Rion Mike completed the move, 3-0 to Manchester City.
That's Charles Lambert reporting. Now, Speedway.
Former Gills striker Adi Akinbayi. The Gills' pre-season preparations were boosted with a 3-0 win over Dover at Crabble, the first real cracker from Paul Smith. Then, in the second half, Kevin James and Mark Saunders combined for goal number 2. And the Gills' new signing from Barnet, Marlon King, came on as a substitute to score the third. Central Park at Sittingbourne has been hosting an
Applied as Gillingham braces itself for an historic day. 80 years after joining the Football League, the Medway dream becomes reality on Saturday when Stockport visit Priestfield for the club's first ever Division 1 fixture. Chairman Paul Scally must be credited for the club's rise from Division 3 strugglers to First Division wannabes, but his ambition doesn't stop there.
People say we've got to consolidate, but I don't know what consolidate means. I think consolidation is for those that are faint-hearted, and we believe that we're here by rights and we intend to go for Premiership. That's what we're here for. and we will be doing everything from next Saturday to try and achieve that.
Former boss Peter Taylor got a rousing reception back in Kent on Monday night with his Leicester side, but there's no bitterness over his exit. Scally and his new manager Andy Hessenthaler are getting on just fine.
It is a big job, but I've learned a lot from Peter over the last year, and I believe I can take that onto my management side, and with the people I've got around me, Richard Hill that we've brought to the club, and Wayne Jones as the first team coach. I believe with us three and everybody else on the staff that we can do a fantastic job.
He's a leader in every sense of the word. He wears his heart on his sleeve. He's got the club through and through in his blood, and the players love him, and I think they rise to the way he plays.
In that friendly, goals from new signing Callum Davidson and a Muzzy Izzet penalty helped Leicester into a 2-goal lead before Andy Thompson responded late on for the Gills. But a 2-1 defeat won't worry Hessenthaler and Scally too much. The serious stuff starts on Saturday. David Jones, Sky Sports.
If they could have planned it, the Gills couldn't have dreamed of a better start. Guy Butters with the opener, just 64 seconds on the clock. But the Gills then got a lesson in First Division football from relative new boys Stockport. Ian Moore with the equaliser. Slack defending then allowed Leighton Maxwell in for a well-constructed second before half-time. And then, after the restart, Moore added a third to make it Gillingham 1, Stockport 3.
You can take a lot from the game. It's, you know, in respect that we create a lot of chances, but we've got to learn that we can't make mistakes, defensively, because we get punished, and that's the nature of the game.
So, despite Guy Butters' effort, it finished Gillingham 1, Stockport 3. Southend.
12 matches for Blackpool last season. Wayne Gill took just 3 minutes of his home debut to flick Tranmere in front. Skipper Wayne Allison with the neat set-up play, and not surprisingly Gill was absolutely delighted. And within 5 minutes another summer signing was celebrating his first goal for Tranmere. At 5'8", Sean Flynn doesn't get many far post headers, but Scott Taylor's cross was simply asking to be put away, and that's exactly what the combative midfield player did. Still, Gillingham proved at Wembley in May that they don't believe in lost causes. Carlos Sabru nets at the rate of 1 in 2, grabbing a lifeline on his seasonal debut. But the killer goal came just before the break, and what a terrific finish it was from Clint Hill. The man who marked Alan Shearer in one of his first games for Tranmere, hitting a free kick Super Al would have been proud of. Gillingham refused to lie down though, and Carlos Sabru was the man leading the line with real menace. Dave Challoner could only haul him back as he bore down on goal. And that's what you call a blatant penalty. Nicky Southall's finish put the Gills back in business. It was nip and tuck, but unfortunately a marvellous game was marred at the end by a crude lunge on Sean Flynn. The guilty man was Barry Ashby, but he didn't take his medicine too well. Tranmere 3, Gillingham 2.
The first half at Priestfield was as one-sided as you could imagine. Gillingham piled the pressure on Stuart Jones in the Torquay goal, who made good saves from Junior Lewis and Andy Hessenthaler. It wasn't until nearly half-time that the Gills made the breakthrough, when Barry Ashby's free kick was followed into the net by Carla Saba. Andy Thompson provided a second goal just after the hour mark. Even the Rainham end thought that was offside, but they do all count. 2-0 should be a safe enough lead to defend at Torquay. 2-1 wouldn't have been. A good thing then that Vince Bartram kept out this long-range effort in the dying minutes. Gillingham 2, Torquay 0.
Hello, my name's Ify Noah. Here's my video diary. This is the nerve centre of the club. Tickets before 2 days. Hello, chaps.
Good morning.
Say hello.
Hello.
Hello. Hello. Hello. Hello. Hello. Now this is the main man.
It's got to be something.
This is the chairman.
If we were a camera, it's dangerous.
There he is, stadium cleaner Phil. Top man. Benny Hill, come on Phil. Frank Spencer.
Frank Spencer.
Thanks, Hank. The captain looks in the beginning bandwagon.
Hey. Top man Phil. Just thought I'd show you our new stand. come along nicely, hasn't it? Remember Petticelli's house? You know, every episode he was building, but it never got anywhere. It's a bit like that. Anyway, I'm off to the physio's house to get punished by the physio. Cover me, I'm going in. It's for a video diary, mate, for Meridian Television.
For television?
Meridian Television, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it
So I
is,
might be
mate.
on the TV?
You'll be on TV. Mate, I tell you what, George, I tell you what, not only will you be on TV, give it 6 months, mate, you'll have your own show. You're bigger than this club, mate. Don't let anyone tell you any different.
Emperor Ming.
Emperor Ming.
I don't know whether I'll have time for the filming from Flash Gordon.
Well. This is the last time you'll see the camera. Say goodbye, Gwen, you've missed it. It's gone back to Meridian after tonight. So say goodbye, I know you've missed it, all of you. Goodbye, goodbye. Hope you enjoyed that exclusive look behind the scenes at Gillingham. I'll be hoping to be back in a few weeks. In the meantime, support the Gills, and this is If You Know Her for Meridian Tonight at Gillingham Football Club.
My agent is going to, if I get on TV, my agent is going to sue you.
And I have to let you into a little secret while he was filming that if he managed to drop the camera on his foot. Fortunately, the camera, fortunately for Gillingham, came off worse than if he did. That's it for me. Back to Mary and Jeff.
We sent him a bill.
Gillingham were in action on Friday night at Priestfield and got off to a fine start when Ty Gooden set up Andy Thompson for the opening goal. It was a well-worked strike with depth in the cross, and Thompson again showing he has the knack of being in the right place at the right time. The same combination reversed roles in the second half, with Thompson the provider, but Gooden denied by a fine save from Russell Holt. Portsmouth dominated the second half, and when Justin Edinburgh's cross eventually found Darren Moore, he fired home a deserved equaliser. Gillingham 1, Portsmouth 1. Southend's bright. Gillingham's Mark Patterson almost gave them the lead, and it needed the Burnley keeper and the woodwork to save them. Midway through the second half, the Gills did go ahead when Carla Saba took full advantage of a defensive slip. But Burnley snatched a point when Glenn Little broke down the right, and his cross was turned in by Barry Ashby for an own goal. Burnley 1, Gillingham 1.
There are signs that Gillingham are coming to terms with life in Division 1. Andy Hessenthaler's side were at home to Wolves. Nick London saw this one.
Gillingham applying the early pressure. Andy Hessenthaler, not just the manager, but so important as a player. Now Lewis, what can he do? Falls to a Saba, still a Saba. Sedgley's clearance, hit Ndar, and that could have been dangerous. It's not quite away yet, Marlon King. Chance for Butters to cross. That's a little bit long. But it'll reach Hessenthaler again. Still Gillingham piling it on. Wolves unable to get the ball away. Southall with the cross. It's gone a long way. At the far post is Junior Lewis. Less than 4 minutes played, and Gillingham have the lead. The ball was allowed to travel right across the area. Bettis was there, but Lewis got the goal. Bartram. Saba's usually the target. He gets his head to it. Forward by Southall. Bad slip there. Marlon King. So close to his first goal since joining from Barnet. Bad slip by Lescott. King probably should have tested the keeper. Here come Gillingham again. King chases that. That's going to be a free kick to the Gills. Gills fans enjoying this. And Asaba takes the free kick. Onto the head of King. Oh, that's a good save from big Michael Oakes. King got a good connection, but so did Oakes. Wolves started last season with only 1 win in their first 9 league games. Heading for another disappointing start. Only won once. Taylor with the shot there. But Bartram was down. Sedgley spreads the play to Naylor, the substitute. What can Wolves conjure up here? Scott Taylor gets his head to that one. Not a bad effort at all. No Robert Taylor, of course, for Wolves today. He's injured, so unable to return to Priestfield for the first time. But Scott Taylor doing his bit. Ketspire. Wolves in a hurry now. It'll reach Muscat, and that's deflected. Ketspire at the far, just can't get there. Gillingham survive. Patterson takes it to the corner, trying to use up a bit of time. Oh, Ketspire's having none of it, gets that one away. And the ball reaches Sedgley. Well, Sedgley, what are they doing at the back there? Sedgley and Naylor. And they nearly let Lewis in. Oakes to the rescue. Time running out for Wolves. Edge puts it into touch. And it's the last kick of the game. Gillingham have got their win, their first in the First Division.
It's the first win, and delighted obviously, and it was a good performance. As I said, we're on a bit of a roll now, we're just finding our feet, and it's our first win today, so let's hope we can continue that in our next few games.
You know, it seems as if we let ourselves go 1-0 down and then think, well, we've got to do something about this, you know, instead of really taking the game to teams before that happens. And you know, that is a concern. I think it's a confidence though, and I think you know, if we could you know, get a few of the players back, get ourselves in front of a game, then I think the confidence would be boosted and hopefully the results would come in.
Gillingham were minus manager Andy Hessenthaler for the first time this season, and he was regretting that decision in the 12th minute when Tony Beddoe opened the scoring. But Carla Saba restored the Gills' 2-goal advantage, pouncing on keeper Stuart Jones' error. Then Kevin Hill gave the Devon side hope, before Beddoe made it 3-1, and the tie tied at 3-all. Torquay got the winner. Fortunately for the Gills, it came when Jimmy Agri sliced into his own net to make it Torquay 3, Gillingham 2. The Gills threw 4-3 on aggregate. Gillingham went down to the quickest goal of the day, Steve Livingston on target after just a minute. And that's the way it finished. Grimsby 1, Gillingham 0. Brighton took the lead at PR on Wednesday. Barnsley have agreed a fee for Bruce Dyer, seen here scoring in last season's playoff against Birmingham. But although the clubs are happy, Dyer has yet to agree personal terms with Gillingham to move to Priestfield. Motorsport and Sussex driver Henry Taylor has football first, and Gillingham let slip a 2-goal lead away at Queen's Park Rangers last night. Gillingham controlled most of the game, but according to our man at Loftus Road, it ended with a comedy of errors. Here's Charles Lambert.
After dominating the first half, the Gills took the lead straight after the break. Andy Hessenthaler floated in a free kick for Carla Saba, who gave Lee Harper in the Rangers' goal no chance. The provider turned scorer for number 2, Hessenthaler latching onto Marlon King's flick-on. But with 10 minutes left, QPR substitute Peter Crouch pulled one back. And then Chris Kiwomya connected with this chance to level the scores. And surely QPR would go on to score a third from this opportunity. OK, well, they'll definitely score this time. A frantic last 5 minutes saw Rangers' Richard Langley sent off and another sitter go begging. Queen's Park Rangers 2, Gillingham 2, but only thanks to the generosity of the Rangers strikers. Charles Lambert for Meridian Tonight.
On to cricket in the last county championship.
The Gillingham fans gave one of Priestfield's favourite sons, Steve Bruce, a marvellous ovation as he made his way to the dugout before the game. He then saw his side take a 25th minute lead against the run of play. Kevin Gallen the scorer after this run and shot, giving Vince Bartram no chance. And Huddersfield went in at half-time, a goal to the good. Gillingham raised the tempo in the second half, and after Marlon King had a first goal for the club ruled out for offside, it was Guy Putters who headed home the Gills' equaliser from player-manager Andy Hessenthaler's corner. Skipper Paul Smith scored the winner with this low shot 16 minutes from time. Smith wearing a borrowed left boot to protect a toe injury, but making no mistake with his right. Gillingham 2, Huddersfield 1, and the Gills now 13th in the table, ahead of next week's trip to leaders Fulham.
Of all the games this season, the 2 against Manchester City are among the most important for Gills fans, still thirsting for revenge after the 1999 playoff disappointment. And few goals will be sweeter for Paul Smith, who missed his penalty at Wembley. Carla Saba setting up the skipper to put the Gills in front. City piled on the pressure, but it looked as if Gillingham would hold out. But confusion in the defence with just 5 minutes left gave George Weir a golden chance, and and the former World Footballer of the Year doesn't miss from there. A great second leg in prospect next week. Manchester City 1, Gillingham 1.
Alan Cable, not this time though, because Fulham's perfect start continues. Played 8, won 8, latest victims Gillingham.
It took Fulham until the end of the first half to edge ahead of the Gills. Barry Hale scored that one. And Hale's well-weighted pass led to the second goal, neatly finished by Lee Clark for his first of the season. Fulham's 100% record was rarely threatened by a Gillingham side who now haven't scored in 5 visits to the cottage. Hales was responsible for the third goal as well, and what a good one it was. His 6th in his last 6 appearances. Top of the table, Fulham 3, Gillingham 0.
Andy Thompson was only in the Gills side because of an injury to Carla Saba, but he demonstrated both smart opportunism and strength to put the Gills in the lead. But the game turned on its head in the 10 minutes after half-time. 2 goals for City's George Weah, the first from a corner, the second after substitute Mark Kennedy had torn down the left flank to cross the Liberian striker. Undaunted, Gillingham won a series of free kicks and corners, which eventually paid dividends. Thompson again the scorer. Into extra time, and the Scotsman could have had a hat-trick as Gillingham pressed forward. Instead, it was City's Paul Dickov who broke free and put the visitors ahead. Before Kennedy made it 4-2 to City, a distinctly unflattering result.
4-2 doesn't reflect the game basically. I mean, at 2-2 we had to score because of the obviously their 2 away goals, so we had to go out all for leather. And you know, if the one from Tomo goes in, we'll keep him a good save. Tomo's hat-trick 3-2. Who knows?
City win 5-3 on aggregate.
How the mighty have fallen. Sheffield Wednesday were outplayed by Gillingham at Priestfield, and to think last season they were in the Premiership and the Kent side in Division 2. The Gills dominated the game and they had 13 shots on goal in the first half, and it needed some heroics from Wednesday's 17-year-old goalkeeper Chris Stringer to prevent them from going behind. Gillingham eventually got their reward on the stroke of half-time. Wednesday failed to clear Andy Hessenthaler's free kick and Guy Butters latched onto the loose ball. As ever, Hessenthaler was at the heart of so much of Gillingham's positive play. Off target here, but the player-manager then showed how to make a goal with a skillful run and cross, and Andy Thompson applied the finishing touch. Gillingham 2, Sheffield Wednesday 0.
After Bolton's defeat to Fulham last week, interesting to see how they react to their first league defeat of the season. This is Holdsworth. Back for Hansen! And Bolton are in front. Holdsworth space at a premium. The snapshot coming in from Hansen. Bolton, one of 3 teams unbeaten on their travels. This is O'Kane. He's looked up and spotted the keeper off his line, and that's a quite brilliant goal from John O'Kane. Referee Mick Fletcher gives it the thumbs up. And the former Everton defender, that is quite brilliant. If anybody's going to get Gillingham back into the match, it's Andy Hessenthaler. Asaba turning it on. Smith. And Smith again! Gillingham have a lifeline, courtesy of the skipper. It might even have taken a deflection off O'Kane in the process. Shaw. Stirring stuff from Gillingham in the closing stages. Shaw again. Can they get the shot away? Onura. Yes! They've equalised deep into stoppage time. His first game of the season, a grandstand finish, his first goal of the season, and Gillingham have clutched a draw here.
Second, Barry Hales and Ryan Williams with 17% of the vote, but the winner with 18% was Andy Hessenthaler, the first player manager ever to win the award. Steve Alderman from Gillingham voted for him, and he wins a VIP day out with Andy, during which he'll present the award.
It's a good turn from Francis, and in it goes. Damien Francis gives Wimbledon the lead, just 5 minutes played, and it really was a tidy turn and a firm finish. Holloway. Ewell battles away and wins the ball. On the left is Marcus Gale. Hartson with the header! Oh, it's a good save from Vince Bartram. Asaba, Smith battling for it. All rather untidy. Wilmot didn't get it away. Smith with the shot. That's blocked. Asaba's turn, and this time it's gone in. I think Andy Thompson's going to claim it, because as the shot came in from Asaba, Thompson sticks out a heel. Easy one for Bartram there. And long it goes. They don't mind playing it. Oh, it's come off the back of Wilmot. Oh, and quick thinking there from Andy Thompson. 2 in 2 minutes for the Scotsman. And 5 in 4 games. Wilmot waited for it to bounce. Instead, it bounced off his back. Holloway with room to cross. Hartson tries to get on the end of it, put behind there by Patterson. Jonathan Hunt will take the corner. Oh, it's a dreadful bit of goalkeeping. Poor Vince Bartram, he's been doing so well, and Hartson claims the goal. Well, Hartson won't mind having another look, but not a great moment for Vince Bartram. So 2-2 the score. Smith happy to settle for a corner kick to Gillingham. Thompson waits in the middle, eager to claim a hat-trick. Player manager Hessenthaler takes it. Ashby, and then at the far post. The flick was from Ashby, and Mark Saunders is there for his first of the season. Hessenthaler takes these himself. They've worked on that one in training. Asaba uses his strength to see off Francis. In the middle is Thompson. Good save from Kelvin Davis. Long from Davis. Hartson. Into the area goes Ewell. Oh, it's a well-hit cross shot from Jason Ewell. 4th goal this term for Ewell. Hartson involved. And Ewell with a quality strike. Wimbledon looking for a winner as we approach the last 10 minutes. Hawkins, a little cushioned header. Johnny Hartson! Well, he's lethal when he gets the service. Little nod down there. And Hartson with his 8th this season. Can Gillingham respond? Asaba battles for it. It'll drop to Asaba. He tries a shot. And with 2 minutes to go, he's levelled the scores at 4-all. They work, and they've got their reward.
Watford's main attacking threat came from a defender, Darren Ward. This was the 2nd time in the first half he hit the woodwork. Nicky Southall might have scored for Gillingham, but for the same player, Darren Ward, making a timely interception at the other end of the pitch. Watford 0, Gillingham 0.
After an 8-goal draw last week, no goals this week for Gills fans to celebrate, but at least they came away with a point against Barnsley, this despite being on the receiving end in the first half. Barnsley had the ball in the net, but Matty Appleby was ruled offside. And the Gills again lucky to survive when A.D. Moses headed against the bar. They had keeper Vince Bartram to thank for his quick reactions to keep out Neil Shipperley. But Gillingham forced their way back into the game. Carla Saba was brought down. Nicky Southall, though, unable to produce one of his specials from the free kick. Gillingham controlled the second half, and Mark Saunders was unlucky when his first shot thundered into the back of a Barnsley defender, and the follow-up crashed against the post. Gillingham 0, Barnsley 0.
Gillingham's Paul Shaw had a goal disallowed for offside, and here got onto the end of one of the Gills' better chances in a second half largely dominated by Birmingham. Chris Hope came perilously close to conceding a penalty. This challenge was just outside the area, but fortunately Birmingham couldn't make the free kick count. They were, however, applying more and more pressure. Barry Ashby had to have his wits about him to clear this one off the goal line, while Vince Bartram had to react smartly to tip a header over the bar. However, it was from the resulting corner, taken by Martin Granger, that the Birmingham substitute Marcello scored the only goal of the game. A depressing end to a lion-hearted performance by the men from Medway. Now, you may remember a week ago...
Win for Gillingham, but it could have been such a different story at St Andrews for sure. After Nicky Southall's free kick had eluded 9 Blues players, Paul Shaw poked home only to be flagged offside. And to add insult to injury time, Marcello pounced with almost the last touch of the game to give Birmingham a 7th consecutive home win in the league. I think they were pleased. Birmingham City 1, Gillingham 0. Andy Hessenthaler made history this month by becoming the first manager to win the Nationwide Player of the Month award, as voted for by you, after some inspired performances in the heart of the Gills midfield during September. Since he was promoted by Chairman Paul Scally, it's been a difficult job for Hessenthaler, taking over from Peter Taylor for the biggest season in the club's history. And we caught up with the proud Gills boss this week as he picked up his deserved accolade.
Yeah, I'm over the moon. It's a great honour. Obviously, if you look at the the division and all the players that are in it, they're, good quality players, and to actually win the award is a fantastic achievement for myself. It's it's a lot down to the players as well, the way they've been performing on the pitch, and they've helped me, and so give them some credit as well.
Doesn't surprise me, to be honest. I think Hesse, since he's come to this football club, has been a revelation. I think he's led by example from day one. He's been an absolute credit to his profession, both on and off the field. And it was a natural decision when I decided that we needed a new manager to make way for the New England manager, that Hesse was the man, and he's continued. I mean, lots of people think that when you become a player manager, I think you lose something as a player. I think probably in Andy's case he's gained as a player. I think he's led by example on the field this season, and he's capped what have been 4 very good seasons with the football club, with a fantastic display so far this season. I think it's only a matter of time before he's going to win Manager of the Month as well. And that'll be full credit to him and to the players around him, of course.
We've got a big squad at this football club, and they're all fit and they're all playing well, and so it's very hard to pick a side. So it's difficult, but I knew that's part of the job, and I'm enjoying the challenge, and so that's the difference really from becoming a player now to a player manager. You've got to make decisions that your mates don't really like. So it is tough, but they appreciate the job I've got to do, and they're getting on with it.
A disallowed goal in the Gills' last game and several close chances in this one. Paul Shaw must be wondering what he's done wrong to offend the footballing gods. To make matters worse, Crewe snatched all 3 points from this game with a Colin Little goal soon after half-time. Gillingham 0, Crewe Alexandra 1.
After a run of indifferent results, Andy Hessenthaler was determined to get Gillingham back on track. And as usual, the player-manager was leading from the front. Nothing came of this in the end. The header was just wide. But skipper Paul Smith is making a habit of popping up with important goals this season. Hessenthaler's corner, Sheffield United failed to clear, and Smith on hand with the finish. In the second half, Gillingham caught United on the counter-attack, and Andy Thompson was given the freedom of Bramall Lane. And the Scots striker made no mistake as he increased the lead. Sheffield then launched an all-out attack on the Gills goal, and after surviving a couple of close calls, Laurent de Jaffo finally pulled a goal back, but Gillingham held on tenaciously for their first away win of the season. Sheffield United 1, Gillingham 2.
At the Priestfield Stadium, full of confidence for Sunday's live game against Gillingham, David Platt's team had lost only one of their previous 13 away games, and 3 successive victories had pushed them firmly into the playoff picture. But they knew the Gills would be no pushovers on their own patch. Brian Marwood and Rob Hawthorne saw this one.
Forward by Patterson to Thompson. Well, it's very congested in that midfield area, but Thompson worked it through towards Shaw. Rodgers did well tracking back.
Yeah, it's very tight, isn't it? Very narrow the way that Gillingham are playing.
Here's Johnson. Now Blake. Leicester! Good save! At point-blank range, Bartram pushes Leicester's effort away. Shaw. Cleared by Johnson. Now Blake. Leicester has found some space and has got inside Pennock. 1-0 Nottingham Forest. It had been coming. Leicester had been denied before by Vince Bartram, but again on the break. This time Forest get the breakthrough. Pennock. Ashby. Smith. This is good. Patterson. Ty Gooden. Anora challenging, and he's got there! Anora's strength behind Bart Williams yields an equaliser for Gillingham.
Well, this is a great ball into the box, but really Anora finds himself one-on-one at the far post. I can only think that Rodgers' injury is perhaps just shaking him somewhat, because he really has got to try and help Chris Bart Williams out. Bart Williams, we talked earlier, not a natural centre-half, but Anora finds himself at the far post where he ought to be.
Olsen. Blake. Laid off to Olsen again. Leicester! And just before half-time, Jack Leicester doubles his money and Forest lead again. Hope missing out. Pennock will have to do the insurance job here, but Jones has slipped it through and Jack Leicester has got his hat-trick. The first hat-trick of his Football League career. And surely now the point's safe for Forest. Ashby. Now King. He's managed to get past Vaughan. And it spills away from Besant. Anora's in there to pick up the pieces. Ty Gooden. Anora. And right on the line, Bart Williams leads into it and keeps it out.
Well, what an unbelievable passage of play this is. And Forest in time have lived on their nerves.
We got off to a slow start, give him a goal. And then we equalised, and to be fair, we was on top, and we looked comfortable. He's moving the ball very well. You know, but they looked dangerous on the break as well. I mean, we was going forward and things were breaking down, and they was, you know, it was clever going the other way. And obviously, a scrappy goal we give away for their second. But I always thought that second half we could, you know, get back into the game and you know, win the game. But you know, fair play to them. They made it very hard for us. They defended quite deep, and going the other way, they were dangerous. I mean, we was pushing forward, and they caused us all sorts of problems. But I think over the 90 minutes, they were the better side.
Well, Huddersfield are now 5 points adrift at the foot of the table. Then come Stockport and QPR into the bottom three for the first time this season. Wolves are down to 20th. Sheffield Wednesday climb to 18th. Tranmere's win lifts them to 16th. Gillingham remain...
With Jason Roberts suspended, West Brom were looking to Lee Hughes to provide the goals. And he didn't disappoint. In just the second minute, Neil Clement's run turned defence into attack in an instant. He found Schneekers, who in turn put in Hughes, who gave Albion a dream start. Now watch this very carefully. The key question, was this out of play? Gillingham certainly thought so, but Ruel Fox was allowed to continue his run and supply Hughes. 2-0 after 38 minutes. This was Gillingham's first ever visit to the Hawthorns, and it wasn't proving a happy one. West Brom, one of 4 clubs on 34 points, looking like real contenders. Just past the hour mark, Hughes completed his hat-trick thanks to some excellent play by Portuguese midfielder Jordão, and the Baggies' top scorer chalked his 11th for the campaign. Albion keeper Brian Jensen had kept Gillingham at bay for 75 minutes, but Marlon King still had time to net his first goal for the club since his £250,000 move from Barnet in the summer. West Brom 3, Gillingham 1. Plenty of drama at Ewood Park as Blackburn's 8-match unbeaten run in the league came to an end against Gillingham. But Rovers got off to a great start. Mark Hughes netting his 4th goal in 7 matches following David Dunn's run. But the game turned just before the interval as the Gills player-manager brought them level. Andy Hessenthaler making his own half-time team talk that little bit easier. Then another of those moments to make you cringe. If you're a Blackburn fan, look away now. Agonising stuff for John Curtis. His back pass left Brad Friedel stranded to gift Gillingham a 2-1 lead. Inspired by their second, Gillingham went in search of a third as they sought their first ever win at Ewood Park. Paul Shaw the man denied. Blackburn's problems then multiplied midway through the second half. David Dunn seemed to get an elbow from Mark Saunders, but his follow-up tackle earned him a second yellow card. His dismissal looked harsh, but Gillingham's man advantage lasted for just 2 minutes. Paul Shaw swiftly followed Dunn down to the dressing rooms, also for a second bookable offence. Blackburn were about to slip to their second home defeat of the campaign, but not before Matt Jansen was again blocked by Bartram. Blackburn 1, Gillingham 2.
With player-manager Andy Hessenthaler missing from their lineup, Gillingham were always going to find it tough against a rampant Birmingham, who almost took the lead after 20 minutes. A poor back pass by Nicky Southall let in Deli Adibola, but the quick-thinking Adrian Pennock saved the day, the ball just inches from crossing the line. Skipper Paul Smith prompted a Gillingham attack, and Mark Patterson's long ball found Marlon King, who fired home. A good set-up, and King outpacing the Birmingham defence to score his second goal in 3 matches. In the second half, King was brought down in the penalty area, but Southall made a total hash at the chance to increase the Gills' lead. Then some tough tackling from Martin Granger seemed to have sealed Birmingham's fate. The second one on Southall earned him his marching orders. But there's a resilience to Birmingham these days, and with 12 minutes left, Michael Johnson equalised. In injury time, Jeff Horsfield netted the winner, so it ended Gillingham 1, Birmingham 2.
To Carrow Road, where Norwich caretaker boss Nigel Worthington was hoping to snap a run of 5 straight defeats. Commentary from Tony Jones.
Gillingham with the opportunity to regroup in defence. Here's De Blassy. Swung in towards Roberts, and the punch clear isn't a convincing one. And how on earth did Russell miss that? Wayward pass by Ewan Roberts. Southall, intelligent running by King, needs help. It's arriving now from the player-manager Hessenthaler. Here is Andy Hessenthaler. There was an elbow in there, surely by Malcolm Mackay. It's gone and punished that. Gillingham absolutely furious. Well, the arm was raised there across Saunders. Saunders didn't complain too loudly, and it was right in front of the referee, but Norwich have a chance to attack now with Ewan Roberts. Here's Notman. Brilliant opening for Notman. And Bartram just makes the save. Well, from one end of the pitch to the other. Real controversy there because Gillingham were aggrieved about the decision in the Norwich penalty area, and then suddenly Alex Notman, with a great chance to open his Norwich City account, is denied by Vince Bartram. Here's Roberts, appeals for handball, not given. Notman now, cleverly done by Notman. Oh, that's right on the edge. Right on the edge, and Norwich here just indicating that a divot has been taken inside the box. Now, where was he? Patterson, who made the challenge. Well, that was very, very, very close. Scott Matheson, the referee, just insisting that the wall is taken further back. Patterson there together with his player manager, Andy Hessenthaler. Llewellyn over the free kick. Swept in towards Jackson. Russell with a shot. And it was Saunders who threw himself at the ball, and the deflection has enabled Gillingham here to break very, very quickly. Here's Smith. He's got 2 to aim at. One of them is Hessenthaler. So close. Elements of surprise there in the shot from Paul Smith. Gillingham able to turn defence to attack very, very quickly. Intelligent play by King and by Smith. Just spotting there that Andy Marshall was a yard or two off his goal line. Roberts trying to take advantage of the slip there by Ashby. Here's Kenton, now Lee Marshall. Chance for Roberts! Great save! And somehow Gillingham are able to scoop the ball to safety once more. Kenton has made good forward progress here for Norwich. And here is Darren Kenton. He's got 4-5 to aim at now inside that Gillingham penalty area. And Llewellyn has got the breakthrough. Terrific headed goal by Chris Llewellyn. At long last, Norwich able to find some fluency. Notman it was who found Kenton, and Kenton in turn able to pick out Chris Llewellyn, who charged in unmarked. Header may well have taken a deflection as Bartram shaped to make the save. It did take a deflection, but it doesn't matter to Norwich. They're in front, and Chris Llewellyn will take all the credit. Gillingham with the opportunity to apply yet more pressure though. Here's Nicky Southall. Honora! Oh, back up the post! So close, Gillingham.
So Bolton Wanderers are up into second place, but they're still 10 points behind the leaders Fulham. Birmingham, West Brom and Watford all lose ground. Nottingham Forest move into the playoff places at the expense of Burnley. Huddersfield are hauling in QPR. They've cut the gap now to 3 points and they're 5 from safety. Stockport move out of the bottom 3, replaced in the drop zone by Grimsby, though Lenny Lawrence's team have 2 games in hand on those above them.
Division with Gillingham facing high-flying Preston at Priestfield. Mike Field has the first half highlights.
Adrian Pennock was up to his old tricks at Priestfield. Having made a dramatic goal-line clearance against Birmingham 2 weeks ago, he had to do the same against Preston, keeping out a good Larkson shot after just 8 minutes. 4 minutes later, promotion-seeking Preston surged forward again, but Graham Alexander's shot was comfortably saved by Vince Bartram. There was a warm welcome back for striker Carl Asaba, playing his first game for 2 months, and he was soon in the action as he set up Paul Shaw, whose shot was superbly saved by the Preston keeper David Lucas. Then after 25 minutes, Gillingham forced a corner. Junior Lewis played the ball back to Nicky Southall, whose high cross was headed in by a delighted Asaba. There's no keeping a good man down, and 8 minutes later he was on the mark again. Shaw's shot was parried by Lucas, and showing all his old predatory skills, Asaba increased Gillingham's lead. Despite missing so many games, it was Asaba's 8th goal of the season. In the second half, Gill scored another 2 through Barry Ashby and Marlon King. Gillingham 4.
The Lancashire sides there or thereabouts. Preston, they played Gillingham, and they suffered their heaviest defeat in almost 4 years. Gillingham's first home win since September the 30th, a run of 5 games. And whenever Carl Asaba's in their side, they look to have so much more bite up front. He put them in front.
Yeah, he's tall, he's got pace, he's got power. And as we see from there, Nicky Southall will get the ball in eventually. They'll play a little short ball, comes out, first time back in, and Carl gets first jump. In the 6-yard box, goalkeeper should have done much better. Lucas.
Second goal after 34. Paul Shaw was back in the side after a one-match ban. He had his shot parried by David Lucas, and there was Asaba again.
I think Paul Shaw's a great boy, I've got to say. Andy Hassenthaler bought very well there. Paul's a really super footballer, and he gets in there, gets a good shot. Lucas again making a good save, but that's a very, very brave header there from Asaba following up the shot.
Southall was the provider again in the 73rd minute. His free kick, and this time Barry Ashby was on the end of it.
Doing very well, Barry Ashby, getting across the front of defenders, what we talk about all the time. There's Nicky's ball in, Nicky Southall, and Barry Ashby scoring a training ground goal, one would have thought.
Terrible surface at the Priestfield at the moment, but Shaw again underlying his value to the side by creating the 4th. Marlon King on as a substitute finished it off.
Yeah, showing great composure there, Paul Shaw. Chases what some would give up, a lost cause. Actually wins the tackle, gets his head up, there's a little look. There it is, nice pass. Marlon King just taps it into an empty net.
After a largely uneventful first 30 minutes, Stockport took the lead against the run of play through Finnish international Jarkko Viss, the midfielder grabbing his 3rd league goal of the season. But Gillingham kept chasing and Junior Lewis got his reward, rounding keeper Lee Jones to level the scores 2 minutes before the break. Gillingham had most of the play in the second half, but Leighton Maxwell's goal on full time seemed to give Stockport the win and all 3 points. But with virtually the last action of the game, Ifeanora put substitute Marlon King through, and his cool finish secured a precious point for Andy Hessenthaler's men in injury time.
So Blackburn move up 2 places to 4th with that win at Selhurst Park. Palace stay in 12th. At the bottom, Gillingham jump above Barnsley to 14th.
The youngsters at the De Melza House Children's Hospice just outside Gillingham had a special visitor last week. The real Santa Claus, of course, doesn't turn up for work until Christmas Eve. But Gills keeper Vince Bartram decided to help him out by delivering some gifts a little early. But he was also there to pick up a little something for himself. Bartram won the nationwide Save of the Month back in August, and now he's done it again, earning the November title too.
There must be a lot of Gillingham fans who watch Sky, that's all I can say. You know, I'm chuffed to bits. There's a lot of good keepers out there, and to be nominated, let alone nominated, to win it twice, I'm honoured really. The first one, Portsmouth, I remember the ball coming over and I think it was Lee Mills had a header and went to put it back the other way, and I've just sort of managed to get across and push it away. The second save against Forest, it was the bodies around me, people in front of me, and I saw it late, but managed to get a good hand on it, so it was nice.
A goalkeeper must keep a cool head. Let's hope he has more luck doing so on the pitch than off. Gillingham netted 4 times at home for the second game running. Carl Asaba scored twice against Preston, but he used to go one better against Crystal Palace, the team he grew up supporting. Asaba's first arrived just after the half-hour mark, but just before the interval, the Eagles had a perfect opportunity to level. Gills keeper Vince Bartram felt that Andres Rubins had dived. You can't convince, but referee Alan Kay was convinced, OK, and a penalty was the decision. Palace had failed to score from their last 4 spot kicks, and Bartram's save from Neil Ruddock's effort stretched that to 5. Just past the hour point, Asaba claimed his second of the game. He'll be free to leave at the end of the season, but boss Andy Hessenthaler will be doing all he can to keep his star striker. Another penalty gave the Eagles the chance to get back into the game, and this time they actually scored. Chris Hope may well claim that this was not a deliberate handball, but if your arm is up that high in the penalty area, you're dicing. Dougie Freedman became his side's first successful penalty taker of the campaign, except for the shootout against Tranmere in the Worthington Cup, that is. But Asaba soon reasserted the Gills' dominance by brushing aside Jamie Smith and punishing Alex Kalinko's weak goal kick. The Gills' fourth came right at the end. Marlon King, that's him, didn't score it. But Ifeanora did. That's him. Gillingham 4, Crystal Palace 1.
With Saturday's match at Priestfield postponed, Gillingham travelled to Portsmouth on New Year's Day and captured a point thanks to Vince Bartram. This one of several outstanding saves. Pompey dominated the second half, and a shot from Nigel Quasi was brilliantly tipped round the post by Bartram. The Gillingham keeper then brought off a replica save, this time from a Portsmouth corner and a Sean Derry header. Whatever Gillingham paid Bartram in the way of a Christmas bonus, it wasn't enough. Gillingham's point takes them to 13th place in the First Division.
But they've already got their hands on the trophy. The Gills posed with the cup today after they were voted last year's best giant killers for defeating Bradford and Sheffield Wednesday. Meanwhile, Brighton's match against Lincoln this weekend is almost so... remember what their favourite toys were. Good evening. What a dreadful start to the FA Cup for our sides. Brighton were already out before this weekend. Southend followed them with a humiliating exit at the hands of Kingstonian, and Charlton were lucky to escape defeat against another non-league outfit, Dagenham and Redbridge. At least Gillingham won a cracking cup tie against Bournemouth, and that's where we start our roundup. Bournemouth defenders packed the penalty area for Andy Hessenthaler's 17th minute corner, but it was Gills defender Chris Hope who got to the ball and headed home. Gillingham had been warned about Jermaine Defoe, who's on loan to Bournemouth from West Ham. After Paul Smith had been dispossessed in midfield, the youngster lived up to his billing with a spectacular equaliser. Gillingham regained the upper hand before half-time. Ifeanura's head-on, Hessenthaler with the finish. But Bournemouth wouldn't surrender. Klaus Jorgensen whipped in a free kick that Steve Fletcher got on the end of, 2-2. Bournemouth were furious about Gillingham's winner, insisting Paul Shaw was offside. But the striker kept his cool with a deftly placed goal. Bournemouth 2, Gillingham 3. In the replay in Dagenham on Wednesday week, Charlton have a home tie against Tottenham to look forward to, while Gillingham have been drawn at home to Chelsea. It was Chelsea who ended Gillingham's cup run last year in the quarter-finals, so can the Medway side exact revenge? I've been canvassing opinion in the town.
It's probably the biggest cup game I've played in. You know, Chelsea got all the stars there, and the boys are looking forward to it. I mean, they played last year and unfortunately lost 5-0, but they played very well by all accounts.
I'm sure we're a little bit stronger than last year, and we're on a decent run now, so if we can keep that going, then who knows, yeah.
People are going to expect Chelsea to come here. They're going to be the favourites, expect them to beat us, but you wouldn't be surprised if we come out winners neither.
Yeah, I think it's really good. Good for the town, Gillingham, and hopefully we should win this time after the result last season at Stamford Bridge.
Do you think they can beat Chelsea?
Oh, why not? Why not? I hope to. I hope they will.
Good club and good players coming down. Like Jimmy Floyd, get his autograph.
I think Gills are going to win.
What score?
3-0.
Scorers?
Saba and Hopi.
Now, one person we didn't hear from there is the Gillingham player manager Andy Hessenthaler. That's because he's still in hospital in Poole after being carried off in the final minute of the game against Bournemouth. This is the tackling question from Jamie Day. Hessenthaler's being treated for a deep wound in his left leg. He's hoping to leave Dorset tomorrow, but he could be out of action for as much as 2 months. A yachtsman from Essex has become joint
stadium, where the joy of Gillingham's FA Cup victory in their lucrative draw with Chelsea in the next round has been overshadowed by the horrendous injury to skipper Andy Hessenthaler. It happened in the last minute of the game when Bournemouth midfielder Jamie Day crashed into him, and Andy Hessenthaler was stretchered off. He's had one operation at a hospital in Dorset. Tonight, I can reveal he's about to undergo surgery for the second time. That'll happen in about an hour's time, where they'll look at the wound. Now, the reason that injury was so bad, according to some people, is because the Bournemouth player, Jamie Day, was wearing boots like these. It's very much a new fashion in footballers. They don't have the old-fashioned studs, they have blades. And some people are saying it could actually threaten players' careers and are calling for these boots to be banned. Among the people calling for that ban to be brought in is the Gillingham chairman, Paul Scally. I'm delighted to say he joins us tonight. Mr. Scally, despite you saying these boots are dangerous, we've spoken to the Professional Footballers Association today, who said there's no evidence to back that up.
Well, I would disagree. I think anyone who saw Andy Hessenthaler's injuries after the game and subsequently at hospital, as I did, and talked to the consultants, would see that there was clearly a problem with the type of boot that the player was wearing and the damages that caused. I mean, the injuries were horrific. They weren't injuries that would have been caused by a normal studded boot. And frankly, I didn't realise that boots like this, with these very sharp blades, were available until yesterday when I started investigating.
But some of your players, I gather, are using them.
Well, many players, including their own players, wear them, and I need to talk to the players to see if we should not change them back to the original studs. And certainly the Football League, who confirmed that there have been many injuries of these type of boots, are looking into it now with the Football Association. And
I gather you, as chairman of Gillingham, are talking to your fellow chairman about putting pressure actually to bring a ban on these boots.
I think so. I think, you know, with kids now buying, you know, modern fashionable boots and with new trends and commercialism, etc., I just call upon the manufacturers to look again at these and do more tests on them, because the injuries that Andy suffered could have been suffered to many other people and will be if they're not changed.
Some of the players, though, do claim it makes them faster over the ground and gives them better grip on the pitch.
Well, I think the faster bit comes from the grip, and certainly that's what they're saying. But at what price? And to be honest, I understand one player from Colchester received severe injuries, possibly from a similar boot. And I think if it was a facial injury, it could be very dangerous indeed. And Andy will bear testimony to how horrendous the injuries are.
Paul Scally, thank you very much indeed. A couple of other pieces of football news. Brighton's LDV report in a national newspaper about their finances. The Football Association says it's seen a report alleging mismanagement, but hasn't been shown any evidence of wrongdoing. This afternoon, the chairman of Gillingham said he'd not been contacted by the newspaper that made the claims. He said he would defend in court any allegations which were made against the club.
It's not nice for anyone to see, really, the very thought that these sort of things have been alleged. And I dare say that everyone feels a bit pained today and somewhat hurt by the fact that these sort of things should come out in the way they have. My own personal view, of course, is that if you have such allegations, then you should take them to the authorities that can deal with them. And like I've said in my statement, we have auditors, we have accountants, we have fellow directors, shareholders. If not them, then the association, the Football Association.
With Gillingham facing their biggest game of the season in 10 days' time, fans are worried it could affect the players in their FA Cup tie.
It's taken the gloss off the Chelsea Cup tie that's coming up, because literally we're getting very excited about Chelsea coming down to Priestfield for what will be a very exciting fourth round tie. And I'm sure, 2001 has not started off that happily.
It will be at least a month before player-manager Andy Hessenthaler will be in action again, but he still received the biggest cheer of the day as he hobbled into Priestfield. In a match littered with free kicks, one every 2 minutes in the first half, it was Burnley who had the first real chance from Paul Cook, but the ever-alert Vince Bartram was equal to it. It took Gillingham half an hour before stringing together a decent move. Nicky Southall to Paul Shaw, who set up the shot for Carl Asaba, and a comfortable save. Gillingham battled harder in the second half, and Mark Saunders had a penalty claim turned down. The ref gave a corner, which seemed the right decision. Fullback Roland Edge showed some enterprise going forward, and in a clever link-up with Asaba, was a little unlucky not to produce a better result. At last, the Gills were showing some urgency, and another good cross from Edge found Paul Smith, and his rasping volley was superbly saved by the keeper. The Gills skipper acknowledging the save, who says sportsmanship is dead in football. Gillingham 0, Burnley 0. Palace may have been hobnobbing with the big boys from the Premiership, Liverpool and Sunderland lately, so they may have felt a visit from Gillingham was a bit of a come-down. They should have known better. Both teams found the Selhurst Park pitch difficult, and it was Gillingham who adapted the quicker and troubled Palace with a series of quick breakaways. Midfielder Nicky Southall was prominent, and it was from one of his corners that Mark Saunders headed the Gills into the lead 2 minutes before half-time. Although Paul Shaw may have distracted the keeper on the line, it was poor defending, and it's something Liverpool will exploit at Anfield in their cup replay. The goal gave Gillingham the confidence to take the game to Palace in the second half, and leading scorer Carl Asaba had the chance to increase the lead. But the striker couldn't quite find the form he showed when scoring a hat-trick against Palace on Boxing Day. Junior Lewis and Shaw combined neatly for another chance, but again the finishing touch didn't match the build-up. On the hour, Palace again showed their frailty from a set piece. Southall's free kick headed in by Saunders for his second goal. Again, he was totally unmarked. But in the last 10 minutes, Gillingham returned the generosity as they conceded 2 goals. The first from a Rubins cross to sub Dougie Freedman, and 2 minutes later when the defence allowed Michael Forsell through for the equaliser. Crystal Palace 2, Gillingham 2.
They've made fantastic progress here in the last couple of years under Tony Pulis, Peter Taylor and now Andy Hessenthaler. Wembley playoffs in successive seasons, a best ever FA Cup run. And now they take on Chelsea here at Priestfield. And here's Motts. Wise. He's played almost 50 games now in the FA Cup and been to the final on 4 occasions. was a mistake here by Ashby, and it's a goal for Gudjonsson, and one of the easiest ones he's ever likely to score.
Well, lack of communication, and I'm surprised Vince Bartram, very, very experienced, as is Barry Ashby. They really should have been dealing with this. The goalkeeper comes that far, he's got to make sure his defender's not going to head it. Real confusion, real lack of communication, and it's a simple tap in. But I had a good Johnson. What the worst possible start that is for Gillingham.
Smith, King. He's done well here, Marlon King.
Chance. I'll tell you what, the response has been excellent from Gillingham. Really cleared their heads quickly and started to push men forward. Lots of players forward into this attack.
Southall to take the corner, having sent across the signal.
Look, the handball to me from John Harley wasn't given.
Didn't look a handball to Dermot Gallagher, but he's now penalised Chelsea here.
You'd just be a touch disappointed, sorry, when that corner came in, Martin, that Jody Morris is winning a header 7 yards from goal, right in plumb in the middle of his goal.
Southall struck a brilliant goal here against Sheffield Wednesday in the Cup last season. Lewis leaves it. Southall takes it. Oh, and he was not far away. Needed the fingertips of Cudicini.
That's a great free kick and an excellent save from Carlo Cudicini. Brilliantly executed from Nicky Southall. That's going in, no doubt of that. Excellent goalkeeping. This is really good pressure from the home side.
Gudjonsson. And John Terry didn't expect Morris to lead that for him.
Oh, what an effort, son.
Marlon King. Ronkia, Gudjonsson, 3 forward for Chelsea here. Support either side of the Icelandic international. Ronkia in his first start for Chelsea has got his first goal for Chelsea.
Well, I wonder if that's lack of knowledge. The one thing that they should know about Gronkia, left-sided he may be, right-footed he definitely is. Plays on the left, comes in from the right. Should have been sent down the line. Should have been insisting that the defender sends him down the line. He doesn't. He's not able to do that. It goes under Vince Bartram. I wonder if there's a little dip in this, Martin, just before the keeper. Just dips below him.
King, for sure. Saunders almost getting there again.
Well, it was ungainly dealt with by Melchior, but effective. And again, there was promise there.
And again, there's thrust from Chelsea on the counter-attack. And Gronkia, can he get another one? He has done. What a first full game for Chelsea. It's only, 23 and a half minutes gone. He's scored twice, and he's revelling on the supply that he's getting from his talented teammates.
Well, I told you he loves to run infield, but what a ball that was. Absolutely inch perfect. The take was quite delicious. A little bit of fortune going through the goalkeeper, but the move deserved a finish on it. Well, you do have to feel that's game, set and match now.
Gronkia, who is a major threat every time he runs at the Division 1 defenders. But here's Honora. Ferrer comes across. It runs for Shaw. And Gillingham have got a goal through Paul Shaw.
Well, win the second half is what I said they should try and do. And they've got off to a fantastic start. The first real thrust forward. Honora gets in between players. And Ferrer does brilliantly to come across and block it. He needed a bit of luck. The Spaniard, he didn't get it. Shaw's following up. And this is a lovely controlled finish.
It's down to 3-1, but there's always the Gronkia factor. And that looks such a decisive weapon for Chelsea, and Oh. Hoisted by Pennock. Honora clearing the way for Paul Shaw, maybe. And Frank Leboeuf brings Shaw down.
I do think it's worth a while. I don't know whether the word has come out from the side to stick Paul Shaw up front. I certainly think it's worth a gamble pushing all three of them up. He's right up there alongside him. He wins the ball. You can see looking to push it beyond Leboeuf. Just thinking, Martin, Nicky Southall's the 2 free kicks. Hit the target with both of them. Now, of all times to make the goalkeeper work, it's now.
And he does, and it's in. Honora! 2 for Gillingham.
Wow, this is just incredible. Absolutely incredible. But let me tell you, what a strike. What a free kick. Cudicini, all he can do is beat this out. And I don't blame him. It was fiercely struck. And what a good follow-up from Ife Honora. Took a chance, gambled it might come back to him. His gamble, well, it was rewarded. This isn't easy, you know. This isn't easy to finish that.
Harley. That's it, Bronco. Got one more run in it.
The answer was yes, but goodness me.
And Chelsea closing in on their first away win since John Harley's winner at Elland Road, April the 1st in the year 2000, a long, long time ago. Lasso. Oh, and Gudjonsson unmarked. Look at that. That is a fantastic strike to make sure that Chelsea have won here at Gillingham and are through to the 5th round of the FA Cup.
Well, it was always likely to happen. In stoppage time, chasing the lead. It's a beautiful piece of play from Graham Lasso, a wonderful cross. But how's that for confidence, Martin? He's got time to bring this down, take a couple of touches and make sure he's having none of it. Such is the confidence of this lad at the moment. That is a stunning strike and a quite wonderful finish to what has been a brilliant second half.
Paul, it finished 4-2, but how close were you to one of the greatest ever comebacks?
Yeah, I think we were close. A few balls could have dropped for us. I think after we got our second goal, and we put them under a bit of pressure then. But you know, the thing is, we gave them too much respect. I think first half, let them pass the ball too well, and gave ourselves a mountain really in the end.
3-2. I think it was about 20 minutes left, and I believe that perhaps we could get another one, and who knows. But you know, the fourth goal come about because we was obviously pushing forward. But terrific performance second half, and it's a shame that we got off just a sloppy start in the first half.
How to turn defence into attack. Watch how Gillingham snuff out the Wolves' threat. And 2 passes later, Marlon King is bearing down on Michael Oakes in the Wolves' goal. All that was missing was the finish. But that arrived after 26 minutes. More good work from Paul Shaw, and King, thrown in recently in the absence of Carla Saba, crowned his performance with his 5th goal of the season. Wolves have yet to win a league game under new boss David Jones, but just before half-time, they earned themselves a point. Michael Branch, the scorer. Some stubborn defending made sure that this would be a 7th unbeaten league game for Andy Hessenthaler's team, and they might even have taken all 3 points, but Lee Naylor kept out Mark Saunders' header. Wolves won, Gillingham won.
Gillingham have surprised a few of the big guns in the First Division this season, but it's vital for them to ensure they don't drop their guard against the lesser lights such as Grimsby. Nicky Southall in particular was determined to put his old team in their place as he set up Marlon King. His final shot blocked by keeper Danny Coyne. Southall has made an art of free kicks, and one of his specials found Chris Hope, whose header came off the bar. And King's acrobatic overhead volley deserved better. In the second half, Southall exerted his influence again. A delightful touch from Carla Saba and the improving King fired the Gills into the lead. A fine save from Coyne prevented Southall from crowning his performance with a goal. Marcus Browning following up far wide. 3 points for the Gills to consolidate their mid-table position. Gillingham 1, Grimsby 0.
Huddersfield's league run of 10 without defeat came to an end, but they were given a great start after 16 minutes. A telling cross, an emphatic finish. Craig Armstrong buried his second of the season. This was Gillingham's first ever visit to the McAlpine, and just 4 minutes later, they were level. Nicky Southall's free kick was too hot to handle for Vassen, but King kept his cool, and Mark Saunders headed the equaliser. In a seesaw match, Saunders then put the Gills in front, and it was created by Southall once more. His probing run left Huddersfield chasing shadows, and Ty Gooden's shot was deflected in by Saunders as he collected his fourth goal in 5 matches. Back came a hungry Huddersfield, and on the stroke of half-time, their appetite was satisfied when they were served a Gillingham sandwich. Ashby and Southall between them contrived to give Lou Macari's team a penalty. Bread and butter from the spot for Martin Smith. 2-2 at half-time. But Gillingham weren't to be denied their first double of the season. Former Huddersfield player Marcus Browning provided the telling pass, and Marlon King did the rest. The 20-year-old netting for the third game in succession, and Gillingham are now unbeaten in 9 themselves. Huddersfield 2, Gillingham 3.
Brighton's promotion.
An early flurry from Gillingham seemed to suggest they were going to continue their run of good form, Ty Gooden's header causing panic in the Queen's Park Rangers defence. In the second half, strong running from Paul Shaw created more problems for Rangers, but Shaw's final shot stifled by the keeper. Nicky Southall's free kicks often bear fruit, and this well-flighted effort provided Gillingham with their best chance. Chris Hope's header hitting the bar. Marcus Browning, on for Gooden, dallied too long in his own penalty area and paid the price. The cross found an eager Chris Kiwomya and won an unlikely 3 points for Rangers. A goal that silenced the Priestfield faithful, the first defeat for their team in 10 matches. Gillingham 0, Queen's Park Rangers 1.
The FA Cup 5th round replay between the two sides. And so to the other Division 1 highlights, beginning with the leaders Fulham, who were in action at Gillingham.
With Mark Saunders suspended for Gillingham, Marcus Browning was keen to take full advantage on his first start since December. On the half hour he went flying right on the edge of the box. Just outside, said ref Steve Baines. And moments later he had Mike Taylor scrambling to his left as Gillingham enjoyed their best spell of the match. Now Fulham hadn't won at Priestfield since 1988, but 2 lightning breakaways before half-time suggested they were in the mood to put the record straight. Lee Clark tested Vince Bartram after Louis Saha had exploded from midfield, and then the young Frenchman decided to go alone. This time Bartram was beaten, but Saha was a whisker outside the post. Fulham was starting to turn on the style. Clark had Bartram in trouble again, and then his midfield partner in crime, John Collins, reminded us all of what a class act he is. Fulham, who'd thrown away a lead at Turf Moor on Tuesday, never threatened to do so again, and sub Louis Boamorti, who'd set up the first, ensured his side would open up a 12-point lead at the top. Gillingham 0, Fulham 2.
A mistake by Gillingham's central defender Barry Ashby 7 minutes before half-time sent Sheffield Wednesday on their way, or Effen Okuku to be precise, and his skillful run and shot gave Vince Bartram no chance. More individual skill from Wednesday's Tron Saltvet again had Gillingham in trouble, and only a goal-line clearance from Chris Hope saved the day. Gillingham came out battling in the second half, and Marlon King seemed sure to equalise, but was denied by the knee of veteran keeper Kevin Pressman. The Gills came swarming forward again, and the final shot from Paul Shaw was again kept out by Pressman. But another poor clearance from Ashby let in sub Michel De Piedi, and against the run of play, the Gills were suddenly 2 down and a mountain to climb. A double substitution worked wonders for the Gills. Ifeonura's cross to fellow sub Carla Saba, and Gillingham were back in the match. The double act almost worked the oracle. Onura's header down to Asaba, and another brilliant save by Pressman meant Wednesday kept the points, and Gillingham slipped to their 3rd successive defeat. Sheffield Wednesday 2, Gillingham 1.
Gills boss Andy Hessenthaler had to reshuffle the team he'd planned to put out after leading goal scorer Carla Saba told him he was too tired to play, but not too tired to head for Sheffield United and transfer talks.
That tells you a story. He didn't really want to play for the club tonight, and as I say, I'm disappointed. Let's hope the deal goes through for his sake, and you know, we can get on with our football, know what we've got, and he can get on with his football.
And how they missed a Saba as Paul Smith's cross caused panic in the visiting ranks. But the Dons had their chances, this Yule effort beating everything apart from the post. And the woodwork saved the Gills in the second half. This time it was Darren Holloway with the strike. But Ty Gooden could have stolen a late winner, his effort just grazing the upright. But it's a valuable point after 3 defeats in a row. Gillingham 0, Wimbledon 0.
Carla Saba has completed his move to First Division rival Sheffield United. The Blades have paid an initial fee of $92,500 for the player who was out of contract at the end of the season.
Andy Hessenthaler's had to reshuffle his team today with so many players out injured, only 15 fit. Here's King. Foul by Bergson. They also had to reshuffle their defence with Barry Ashby suspended. It's come out here for Smith, deflected by Browning, I think. Gillingham oh so close to the opener, well struck by Smith. And the deflection just taking it off the top of the crossbar. Franson again. 1-0. And Per Franson opening the scoring for Bolton to ease a little bit of the tension. Beautifully struck, perhaps a little fortunate the way it came back to him, but a great finish. Bolton's lead over Blackburn and Birmingham down to 2 points. Oh, and a miscue by Warhurst. King is in, and it's 1-1. Well, Bolton won't be happy with the defending for that one. A mistake by Paul Warhurst. King getting there ahead of Simon Charlton and tucking it past Tommy Wright. Long ball arrowed towards Holdsworth. Oh, and he's got a fortunate bounce. Well saved by the keeper. Oh, and Patterson! An own goal! Disaster for the Gillingham defender. Well, I don't know that Holdsworth's shot would have gone in, but Patterson made sure. So unlucky. He'll have nightmares about that one. Gillingham's last league win at Bolton was 15 years ago. A long way to go to emulate that. Here's Ricketts. That's a Bolton corner. Farrelly to take. Hendry. Untidy. Holdsworth! 3-1 Bolton. And Dean Holdsworth takes his career tally to 199 goals. Not the tiniest of goals. Hanson and Holdsworth between them. That's a great turn by Browning. On towards Onyura. And he's felled by Colin Hendry, a free kick for Gillingham. Southall. Oh, fantastic goal! Wonderfully flighted free kick by Nicky Southall. Just his second of the season. Perfection. That was well reached. And Campbell through the middle for Bolton, around the keeper, and Patterson to the rescue this time. But well done, Mark Patterson. After the trauma of the own goal earlier, this time he's Gillingham's saviour. And that could be crucial. Andy Campbell on loan from Middlesbrough. Out by Hendry. And Gillingham onside here. Great chance. King! 3-3! What a finish! Well, it ain't over yet, folks. The promotion race with yet more twists and turns. And Marlon King second of the game.
I thought the thirds were outstanding today. Probably one of our best performance, if not the best performance this season. Because probably up against it before we kicked off. I mean, we come up with 17 players. I mean, only having 15 players here because Ty Gooden got injured in training yesterday. Paul Shaw had a baby, so he couldn't travel. So we had a few problems, but you know, we set our stall out and it worked perfectly for us.
You know, it's immature defending from our players. And that's not just the back four and the goalkeeper. I think the exception of Simon Charlton, who played at left back, fantastic and has done the last 3 games. I think the midfield 3 and the other 3 lads at the back and the goalie didn't do the job right today.
The new striker, Guy Ipua, comes from Cameroon via Scunthorpe and speaks 4 languages. Last season he scored against Gillingham, who signed him for £25,000. He would have been out of contract at the end of this season.
A step forward for my career to come in a big club and first division team, first division club, and I've been looking around all the installation and everything, so it's a really big club, so of course I'm glad to come here.
One player leaving Priestfield's Junior Lewis. He's left Gillingham for good. His loan deal at Leicester was made permanent. The fee's £150,000, depending on appearances.
For a man in charge at Tranmere, but some things never change. They can still produce moments of sublime brilliance and goals of mouth-watering quality, but they still can't hold on to a lead. Jason Kumas, surely the next big name out of Prenton Park, becoming Tranny's leading scorer this season with 9. The Rovers only picked up 1 point from John Aldridge's last 10 away games, and they capitulated again. Richard Jobson's challenger Marlon King gave the Gills a penalty 3 minutes before half-time. The complaints from Jobson were only half-hearted, and understandably so. King took the penalty duties himself to score Gillingham's first goal at home in 5 hours and 40 minutes of play. And just after the restart, the goal that subsequently proved to be the winner. With Guy Ipua having just arrived from Scunthorpe, the existing Gill strikers must have had their minds concentrated somewhat. So Ife and Nura would have been delighted at the timing of Tranmere's comedy moment, Jobson's clearance hitting Scott Taylor and Nura hitting the net. It could have been worse for Rovers. With the Gills forward line tripping over each other, King was denied by Achterberg. But at the other end, debutants Seni and Dai nearly salvaged the point, only for Bartram and Southall to combine in unorthodox fashion. Gillingham 2, Tranmere 1.
First half performance wasn't good enough for our standards. We could do a lot better. The second half we come out and we show what we're about, and you know, it was good that we scored just before half time and give ourselves a chance second half, because to be fair to them, you know, with John going and Kevin in charge, they've come and responded for Kevin and had a right go here and made it very hard for us. But you know, full credit to the players second half. It was, you know, that's what Gillingham was all about.
Another victory on Sunday afternoon.
Just 5 weeks ago, Barnsley were down in 19th and falling fast. Now, after 6 wins in 7 games, they've reached a magical 50-point target that will guarantee their safety. And it's been the goals of Bruce Dyer and Neil Shipley that have got them there. Dyer converting the Tykes' first chance to take his tally to 6 in 4 games. But Gillingham had dominated the early exchanges, with Barnsley keeper Kevin Miller in inspired form. And the deserved equaliser came midway through the first half. Nicky Southall finding Marcus Browning, whose cross was definitely finished by Marlon King. King's 11th of the season, flicking the Barnet of the former Barnet man. But the game turned with the introduction of Carl Barraclough, the 19-year-old son of former Barnsley and Newcastle winger Stewart, who within 2 minutes of coming on for his debut won a penalty. He spotted a gap between Noseworthy and Browning, but didn't quite get through it. There was no doubt that the Gillingham players felt hard done by. But Shipley continued his recent goal blitz with his 3rd in as many games from the spot, and he's now scored in each of his last 4 at Oakwell. That incident knocked the stuffing out of Andy Hessenthaler's men, who extended their own barren away run to just 1 win in 8 First Division games. He went from bad to dire as Zadie Pennock's back header led in Barnsley's leading scorer again, Vince Bartram making the save. a stop which ultimately denied Dyer a hat-trick, as he finished the scoring 7 minutes from time to record his 15th of the season. A good result, even if it wasn't the best performance from Nigel Spackman's players. Barnsley 3, Gillingham 1.
Well, there is no change at the foot of the table following those defeats for Tranmere and Queen's Park Rangers. Sheffield Wednesday continue.
Adrian Pennock will be glad Vince Bartram signed the new contract. The ink was barely dry before he rescued his defender by denying on loan Richard Creswell when he seemed certain to score. But the Gills also came close. Paul Shaw's effort cleared off the line by Graham Alexander. Preston 0, Gillingham 0.
Say has been the best comeback of the season. For most people, probably Tranmere against Southampton in the Cup. Well, after Chris Hope gave Gillingham the lead with his first league goal in more than a year, just take a look at what happened at Priestfield Stadium. Ifeanyi Ura was the man who took centre stage. First a strong header to make it 2-0. Now that Carlos Sabas at Sheffield United, the Gills are looking to Onyura to come up with the goals, and he didn't disappoint. The other side of half-time, he tucked away his second to make it 3-0. 5 minutes later, Onyura completed his hat-trick. All credit to Marlon King for putting it on a plate. The Gills 4-0 in front, and surely that was simply too big a mountain for Norwich to climb. Well, they had a blooming good try. Typically, Ewan Roberts' presence was a telling factor, and so too was the defensive mistake, but Chris Llewellyn finished it neatly enough. 4-1 with 58 minutes gone. Anyone fancy the Canaries' chances yet? Well, 4-1 became 4-2 5 minutes later. Darryl Russell and Alex Notman had been brought on as second-half substitutes to try and inspire Norwich. Russell's finish emphatic enough. The comeback began to look possible. Norwich were testing Gillingham's resolve to the limit. With 9 minutes left, Roberts got himself onto Llewellyn's beautifully weighted cross. But the Gills held on just. Gillingham 4, Norwich 3.
4 goals rattled past Norwich last week at Priestfield. The Gillingham forwards really have got the bit between their teeth. Ifeanyi Ura's 100th career league goal flicked under Frank Talia after Nicky Southall clipped over the corner, and it set them on the way to another 4-timer. But things were mighty interesting for a brief spell after the break. Peter Unlove with the neat finish for Sheffield United, but this goal was all about the tenacity of Paul Devlin on the right. Now, Gillingham had conceded 3 second-half goals against Norwich, but there was to be no panic this time after Marlon King's 2 goals took his personal tally to 13. 6 in the last 6 matches. Marcus Browning put him in for the first, and Paul Smith provided the pinpoint cross for King to put his side in complete control. It was Sheffield United who'd lost their way. All we needed now was a first league goal for Paul Shaw, and the icing would be well and truly on top of the cake. The Gills are all but safe. Gillingham 4, Sheffield United 1.
But Crewe soon brought the Gills back down to earth on Monday. Teenager Alan Navarro, on loan from Liverpool, put Crewe in the lead after Vince Bartram had saved Rodney Jack's shot. When Gillingham equalised with a deflected free kick from Chris Hope, it looked as if they might snatch a point. The youthful Crewe side had other ideas, and a fierce shot from 17-year-old Dean Ashton sealed the points for Crewe, and they, like the Gills, looked to have secured their First Division status. Crewe 2, Gillingham 1.
For action and Gillingham's match with West Bromwich Albion. Mike Field has the first half highlights.
First chance fell to Gillingham, top scorer Marlon King failing to add to his 13-goal tally in the very first minute. West Brom then took full advantage of some poor Gillingham defence. Adrian Pennock's headed back pass woefully short of the keeper, and Lee Hughes nipped in and lobbed the stranded Vince Bartram. 8 minutes later, a Pennock foul on Bob Taylor conceded a free kick, and the ex-Chelsea player Nick Clement took full advantage and increased Albion's lead. Gillingham got back into the match after 35 minutes when skipper Paul Smith's raking pass was headed on by Mark Patterson, and Ifeanyi Ura applied the finishing touch. It was Iffe's 5th goal in his last 3 home matches at Priestfield. Gillingham's danger man, Nicky Southall, set up another good chance. His cross headed on by Chris Pope to Amura, which brought a fine reaction save from Albion keeper Russell Holt. Gillingham failed to break down the Albion defence in the second half, and it remained Gillingham 1, West Bromwich Albion 2. King of Gillingham. The Gills' in-form striker is living up to his name as he scored his 14th goal of the season against Nottingham Forest. A fine long crossfield pass from former Forest defender Chris Hope found King, whose control and precision in finding the acute angle delighted the travelling Gills fans. No wonder there were celebrations. It was Marlon's 21st birthday and he won the points for his team. Forest 0, Gillingham 1.
Gills presented a cut-glass decanter to the retiring Hornets manager Graham Taylor, but if they hoped that would put the visitors in a generous mood, it didn't work. Second half goals from Haidar Helgeson, first of all, and then Tommy Smith managed to put Watford in the driving seat. Paulo Vinaza went on to add a third, and Gillingham fashioned a late chance. That was after Vinaza's third goal for Watford. Marlon King's chance here, just going wide. It was, though, one of the most disappointing games of the season at Priestfield.
This afternoon against Blackburn. From Priestfield, Mike Field reports.
Blackburn came to Priestfield already knowing they will be playing in the Premiership next season, but there was nothing complacent about the way they took command of the first half. It took them just 5 minutes to assert their authority, a cross from Keith Gillespie and Nathan Blake's header, too good for Vince Bartram. Bartram was in the thick of the action, and it needed a good save to keep out another shot from the dangerous Blake. A minute later, Jason McAteer's shot was fumbled by Bartram, but he recovered, just in time. Some slack Gillingham defence set up Marcus Bent, and his shot rocked against the bar. A lucky escape for the Gills. Well, whatever Andy Hessenthaler said to his troops over the half-time cuppa seemed to work. Gills came out fighting. Defender Mark Patterson joined the attack, and his shot hit the post. Gillingham bombarded the Blackburn goal, and the game was into injury time when Rovers youngster Darren Dunning handled in the penalty area. Leading scorer Marlon King needed no second invitation to notch his 15th goal of the season. A draw, a fair result to end a satisfactory first season in the First Division for the Gills. Gillingham 1, Blackburn Rovers 1.